Inclusive leadership is not about diversity in the workplace, but it is one of the important keys if you want your business and organization to be successful. Let's tune into this episode so we can discover together the power of inclusive leadership. Welcome to Leading Intentionally, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of leadership transformation. I am Carmen Paredes, your guide in this journey, and I am so thrilled to have you with us today. In each episode, we share strategies, insights, and stories to help you drive growth, enhance workplace culture, and lead with intentionality. Whether you are a seasoned executive, an aspired leader, or just someone passionate about positivity in the workplace, this podcast is for you. Each week, I'll bring you conversations with thought leaders, experts, and trailblazers that will share with you their insights, wisdom, and experiences so that you can apply these practical tips to your leadership journey. Get ready to explore topics like inclusive leadership, women's empowerment, effective communication, and so much more. If you're ready to lead intentionally and make lasting impact in your organization, you are in the right place. Let's embark in this transformative leadership journey together. This is Leading Intentionally. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 2 of Leading Intentionally. And today we're going to talk about the power of inclusive leadership. And inclusive leadership is not about diversity in the workplace. Or let's say it differently. It's not just about diversity in the workplace. I believe it's about harnessing the unique strengths and perspective that comes with having individuals that can create a culture where everyone can feel heard and valued. Today, I want to explore with you why inclusive leadership matters and how it benefits organizations and practical ways you can become a more inclusive leader. So let's start by defining inclusive leadership. It's not a checkbox on the corporate agenda. That's like, please don't do that. It is a change on the way that we think that makes us actively seek to involve and embrace diverse voices. Inclusive leaders foster an environment where differences are celebrated, accent included, and everyone is empowered to contribute their best. According to a study by McKinsey, companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians. Inclusive leadership isn't just a moral imperative, it's a strategic advantage. And the question I have for you is, how are you up to now being an inclusive leader? Is your company really embracing DEI? Is your company really opening up to have a place where employees of all genders, of all ethnicities, of all religions, of all backgrounds can feel her value so they feel open, safe to share their thoughts, to be innovative, to feel committed to your mission and your vision and your long-term strategic success. So, I want to tell you that I firmly believe that there's a business case for inclusive leadership beyond the moral compass that we have to follow these days. There is a financial reason why you should pay attention to inclusive leadership. Research consistently shows that diverse and inclusive teams outperform their counterparts. It just makes sense, right? There's different ways to look at the same problem and come up with innovative solutions. According to a report from Deloitte, inclusive teams outperform their peers by 80%. 80%. What would you do with more innovative teams in your company? My last experience as a corporate executive was in product management. Do you know what 80% outperforming my competition in innovative ideas would mean? Do you know what it would mean for your company? What if it's not 80%? What if it's 1%? What will you do with being 1% better when it comes to engagement, innovation, decision making, problem solving, negotiation, conflict resolution? It's like dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. It also there's also a study from by Boston Consulting Group found that companies with more diverse management teams have 19% higher innovation revenue streams. So you have your team and then you have your leaders. And when you compound those numbers, I mean, I can do math and I think you can do math too. It's big, it's a big thing. So inclusion isn't just about checking the boxes, having a DEI leader in your company. It's about unlocking the full potential of your teams. So there are challenges that comes with this and there are solutions. So let's talk about that. You know, building an inclusive workplace isn't, easy. You got to change culture, you got to change thinking, you got to change perceptions. And you, as a leader, need to face those obstacles, such as the unconscious bias and resistance to change that you're going to find from every level of the organization. There's a survey by Harvard Business Review that found that 75% of employees believe that diversity and inclusion efforts are the responsibility of leadership. And I am going to tell you something. If it doesn't come from the top, it doesn't matter. So, is the top of your organization committed to this? If you are the top of the organization, are you really committed to the, or are you just trying to check a box in the political agenda? Because you might not care about inclusion and diversity, but I'm sure you care about the bottom line. I'm sure you care about the EBITDA. I'm sure you care about the profits. I'm sure you care about your performance in the stock market or what the board of directors is going to say about the way you have drive this organization forward. And with these numbers that I have just shared with you, don't you think that maybe you should care a little bit about inclusion? So how do you overcome these challenges? And it requires, you guessed it, intentional leadership. Implementing those pillars that we talked about on the episode last week, the pillars of intentional leadership. Implementing training programs, development for your leadership team, coaching, because sometimes the resistance is for something that we're trying to push in and we don't want to talk about. Sometimes the resistance is triggers that leaders have for something from their upbringing. And executive coaching, like I do for my clients, leadership development programs, like I do for my clients, definitely dissolve all these inner things that we have. And it helps you expand your vision, your perspective on ways that are beyond what you have seen, especially when it comes from someone who is diverse. So, another thing you can do is set diversity goals and hold your leaders accountable for commitment and meeting those goals, for establishing practices towards those goals. I mean, the data is really clear. Organizations that prioritize inclusivity see not only cultural benefits, but tangible benefits in their business. And customers are not to be fooled either. Customer cares about companies that care about people. So you care about your people. So let's talk about some real stories of inclusive leadership. I want to share some real stories with you because that is something that really hits the nail on the head. I am trying, and I am trying not to repeat the names from last episode. And so this is why I need you in the podcast, right? When you hear something that I'm talking about that or that I'm going to talk about or that I should talk about, and you are embracing, embodying those qualities, please reach out to me so we can have a conversation. We can recognize you. The world can know how amazing leader you are, but we also can share and educate and train and expand the consciousness of other leaders around the world to make the workplace a better place to be. So let's talk about some real examples. So we have from Salesforce, Mark Benioff. He's the CEO of Salesforce, and he's known for his commitment to equality and diversity. So Salesforce conducted a company-wide assessment of employee salaries to ensure pay equity. He, CEO, has also been very vocal about the LGBTQ plus rights and has taken steps to address gender inequality in tech industry. Salesforce focus on philanthropy and creating a diverse and inclusive environment that reflects his commitments to leading with purpose and inclusivity. I mean, bravo. Then we have Julie Sweet from Accenture, and she's the CEO and has been a driving force behind the company's commitment to diversity and inclusion. Accenture set ambitious goals to achieve a gender balanced workforce by 2025. I have about a year. Julie Sweet has actively worked towards these goals, focusing on diverse hiring practices and creating an inclusive culture. Accenture's initiatives, such as Getting to Equal research series, highlights the company's dedication to fostering an inclusive workplace under her leadership. And last but not least, we have Brian Cornell from Target. As the CEO of Target, he's led the companies in promoting diversity and inclusion. And Target has implemented inclusive hiring practices, including programs to increase the representation of minorities in leadership positions. Cornell has been outspoken about the importance of fostering and cultivating inclusive cultures, and the commitment of the company to diversity is reflected in its community engagement and philanthropic efforts. These are amazing examples, real life examples of how powerful leaders are changing the workplace. So the question is, what are you doing to be more inclusive in your leadership style? And don't tell me I am not the CEO, I don't have a C title. You are the king or queen of your domain. You have people that work for you. You have the power to change their life, to be more inclusive, and to embody these qualities on a day-to-day basis. So I want to ask you, what steps can you take to ensure that your team or your organization is a place where diversity is not just welcome, but is celebrated? You know, one of the saddest things I realized after I retired my corporate executive job was when one of my Latina employees brought to my attention that I was the only Latina woman in the executive suite of this company, and that now they didn't have anyone to look up to. I actually didn't even thought about it until she mentioned it. And it was kind of sad, and it's true. And now I'm very proud that I had that accomplishment under my belt. And at the same time, I'm very sad that there is no one else to take my place. So let's make sure we make the workplaces in the world a better place to work. Because nobody actually wants to be sitting at home, trust me. I mean, there's some people, but like people like to work. People like to make contributions to society. People like to be recognized and be heard, and that's what inclusivity does for people. The opportunity to feel like part of the family and not like one of these things is not like the other. So thank you for joining us today, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends, your colleagues, your everyone, and until next time, lead intentionally and this time, inclusively too. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.